live from Augusta. We're watching News 1226 at 11.
Good evening. Former President Trump and President Biden were both in Georgia campaigning today. More on their visits in the battleground state coming up. But we had a first alert out there for today, and the National Weather Service had a flood advisory in place for Charleston that expired this afternoon. But what's the rest of our weekend looking like for the CSRA, Emily?
Well, Craig, I can tell you much better conditions are expected for our Sunday, and even starting now into the overnight hours. Things have calmed down significantly. That cloud cover is going to eventually move out overnight, so we'll start off with clearer conditions for our Sunday. Mostly sunny skies by the afternoon. We'll warm up into those middle 60s, a little bit cooler, a little bit breezier as well for your Sunday afternoon, so just kind of keep that in mind. And we've got some pollen going on. If you haven't noticed already, you are some of the lucky ones then. We are experiencing some higher tree pollen right now going on, but again, this is the season for it. That rainfall might wash it away a little bit, but it'll bounce right back over the next couple of days, unfortunately. But something else, maybe a little bit more positive news, is today was the last sunset before 7 p.m. for at least the next 6 months. I can't remember exactly the timing there. I think it's the next 6 months, but by tomorrow, we will expect to see those sunset times after 7:30. So good news there, Craig. But again, we have a beautiful Sunday in store. Some rainfall is in the forecast, and I'll let you know about that coming up soon.
Thanks for that reminder on setting the clock ahead, Emily. Now, President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump are campaigning right here at home in the battleground state of Georgia today as they look ahead to the general election in November. As CBS's Christian Benavides reports, Biden hopes to build on his State of the Union speech earlier in the week.
Former President Donald Trump came out swinging today, delivering his first public speech since President Biden's fiery State of the Union address.
All you had to do is watch that horrible State of the Union. That was the worst president in history, making the worst State of the Union speech in history.
The former president looks to build momentum after recent polling showing him ahead of Biden.
He's a threat to democracy. I will tell you, he's a threat to democracy.
As Biden looks to capitalize on his energetic State of the Union address.
Now, MAGA Republicans and Donald Trump want to pass a national ban on the right to choose. Well, hear me loud and clear. Not on my watch.
Biden returned to the key state of Georgia, a state that he narrowly won in 2020, and worked to sway voters on his re-election message in a likely rematch.
We all know Donald Trump sees a different America. An American story of resentment, revenge, and retribution. That's not me, that's not you.
The Biden campaign is boosting resources, planning a $30 million media blitz over the next 6 weeks, opening roughly 100 field offices and more than tripling the number of staff members. In a new ad addressing the question polls show is on voters' minds, his age.
I'm not a young guy. That's no secret. But here's the deal. I understand how to get things done for the American people.
The Trump campaign fired back with this ad titled Not a Young Guy. With the primaries now in the rearview mirror, both candidates are focusing on a long campaign road ahead. Christian Benavides, CBS News.
The Trump team is also focused on trying to close a significant fundraising gap. Records from February show the Biden campaign and DNC have roughly double the cash on hand compared to Trump's team and the RNC. Voting day for the presidential primary and other local elections in Georgia is this Tuesday, March 12th. Polls will be open from 7 to 7. Now, the Augusta Dream Center helped make some teenagers' prom dreams come true. Oftentimes, getting set up for prom is an expensive process for a memory that could last a lifetime. Audrey is here live with us in the studio. And Audrey, you stopped by the Dream Center today. How were they helping make those dreams a reality?
It's a way to help take away any financial stress that comes with prom. It adds up quick when it comes to clothes, hair, and makeup and more. But hundreds of girls got that all for free today at Stevens Creek Church. A day dedicated towards making each and every person that walked in the door feel special.
Specifically for high schoolers, especially that are underprivileged or don't really have the opportunity to go prom dress shopping. It's really cool that they offer that opportunity.
Not just for South Augusta, but across the CSRA.
I love seeing other girls walk down looking all beautiful, them feeling themselves, just feeling like how a girl should feel. And when I saw everyone walking down in those dresses, I'm like, they must be so happy right now.
now. They look so pretty. They look so happy.
More than 200 girls chose from up to 3,000 donated dresses, while also getting their hair and makeup done and choosing from hundreds of accessories for free.
Just think about how inflation has impacted all of us. So, the cost of their prom tickets are astronomical. If you have a couple of kids in high school, how do you do that?
But happiness like this isn't something you can put a price on.
I really don't think there's much greater reward than pouring in and investing into the next generation. And so teenagers today are under so much more stress than ever before, it's just the world we live in, the culture and social media and all of those things.
So the last thing they should stress about is something every teenager looks forward to.
Just really cool to see their transformation with their confidence and clothes and everything.
Everything may have been free, but many of them left with something money could never buy.
Grateful. I appreciate it. Made me feel like Cinderella.
Augusta Dream Center says this was their biggest Cinderella day since they started this 7 years ago.
Really heartwarming story there. Thanks for that, Audrey. Now, there are 2 separate cases of missing minors tonight in the CSRA. There on your screen, the Richmond County Sheriff's Office is searching for 10-year-old Carrie Brister on the left there, last seen near a home at Kensington Drive South, while Washington County Sheriff's Office is looking for 15-year-old Noah Wells, who they say is a runaway and believe is in the Sandersville area. Both offices ask you call the respective numbers if you have info on their whereabouts. Now, there are more road closures coming as part of the plan to widen Fury's Ferry Road. Next week, there will be 2 temporary lane closures. One will be between Anderson Circle and Wrdw Trail. That starts on Monday and runs through next Wednesday. The other lane closure is going to be the right turn into the southbound lane onto Evans at Locks Road. That starts on Tuesday and ends on Friday. And speaking of road closures, there's going to be one near the Dental College of Georgia on R.A. Dent Boulevard. That starts on Monday. It will be from John Wesley Gillard Drive, that little cut-through road, and Druid Park Avenue for repair work. The work is expected to be done by Friday, March 15th, and detours will be in place, and heavy congestion and slow travel are expected in these busy areas. Now, today was the 3rd annual Books for Shay event, honoring a teenager from Grovetown, Shaylin Foster, who was killed in a car accident in 2018. Books were given out to students for free, along with health screenings. Other activities also took place at the Hub for Innovation today. Volunteers came out to support the community, and Foster's mother says the goal was to collect 4,000 books to be able to give out to students. The number of books they received is closer to 7,000 in total. Shaylin's mother spoke about what her daughter would think of this event.
She would just be overjoyed. She loved rainbows, so I think that she would be dancing on rainbows with just joy at all the children reading, and just so happy that books are in the hands of children.
She thanked the community for continuing to keep Shaylin's story alive and spreading it through reading and supporting the Smile for Shay nonprofit organization. Well, coming up, United Airlines passengers and the company have a rough week. The latest next on News 1226.
Get ready for a night of dancing, delicious food, and lively celebrations at the Barnwell Sundial Festival, a 2-day extravaganza showcasing local arts, music, and cuisine. Indulge in a variety of gourmet street foods and mouth-watering desserts from different parts of the world. Explore unique pieces by local artists and vendors at the festival. Don't miss the Friday evening concert featuring Warren P., an American Idol star and South Carolina native. Join us on the Circle in charming downtown Barnwell, South Carolina on May 10th and 11th. Peace on Road.
It's been a tough week for United Airlines and its passengers. 6 different jetliners have had problems, some forced to make emergency landings. The latest incident was late Friday at LAX, and Elise Preston has more.
The plane was a United Airbus A320 with 110 people on board. It was headed from San Francisco to Mexico City, but forced to land here after the crew reported a hydraulics issue.
United 821. We're going to have to stop on the runway.
Everyone got off safely. It was one of 6 plane problems for United just this week.
Oh my goodness, look at the back of the plane, man.
This jet slid off the taxiway Friday while landing in Houston.
It was more scary when you slid off and you realized the whole plane's tilted and we're in the dirt.
Also, a wheel fell off a 777 on takeoff in San Francisco Thursday.
Yes, there's a tire going down the runway.
On Monday, 2 more incidents, including this mid-air engine fire. In a statement, United described these incidents as distinct and unrelated to one another.
When you're operating as many flights per day as we operate in the United States, somewhere along the line, there's going to be some sort of an anomaly. But this does not mean the system is unsafe.
United isn't alone with problems. An American Airlines jet in Miami clipped the tail of a parked Frontier jet. Today, a new development in this near disaster when an Alaska Airlines Boeing 737 MAX 9 lost its so-called door plug in the air. The Justice Department now launching a criminal investigation. Still, this flyer today not worried yet about airline safety.
You think about how often those things happen, and you just have to believe that, they're rare.
And the plane problems come as the busy spring travel season takes off, with the TSA expecting a record number of flyers for this time of year. Now, in some good news, the South Carolina women's basketball team was staring at the end of their so far unbeaten season until this.
Cardoso for 3. Banks it in! A miracle for the Gamecocks!
Stellar finish. That was center Camila Cadorsa's first three-point shot of her career. Extends South Carolina's unbeaten streak to 31. Tomorrow, the Gamecocks play in the SEC Championship on ESPN at noon. Now coming up, it's time to spring forward in a few hours, but the government still does not know what time it is. We'll explain more on that coming up next.
This is internet that's not just fast. This is twice. Okay, someone just did laundry. Oh, I add Downy Light so the freshness really lasts.
Yeah, most scented stuff gives me a headache, but this is just right.
And I don't like anything.
But I like this.
Get a light scent that lasts with no heavy perfumes or dyes.
Yes. All right.
Hit me with the checklist, honey.
Luggage?
Check.
Kids? Check! Butler trip check?
Before you leave town, check with the butler. With our complimentary trip check, we'll inspect all your major safety components and parts to ensure your car is running its best. With multiple locations convenient to you, just let the butler do it. Trust meteorologist Emily Acton for your first alert.
Alrighty, remember to set your clocks forward an hour. Love it or hate it, daylight savings time is here again. And believe it or not, the government is still trying to figure out what time it is. Scott McFarland explains.
In the Rockies, at a 206-acre federal government campus outside of Denver, they spent a lot of time studying the time.
That's the on-time tick.
Inside the lab at the National Institute of Standards and Technology, scientist Andrew Novick and the federal government's Time and Frequency Division are perfecting their atomic clock.
We deal in nanoseconds here. Those are billions of seconds.
Who would care about that?
Something like your phone, GPS. GPS works by having atomic clocks on board satellites, sending signals to you and I and everywhere, and that's how you get your location.
Because no matter how large or how sharp they appear, clocks aren't perfect, and eventually they slip over time with consequences.
Yeah, imagine something like the stock market, right? You have hundreds of millions of transactions happening in a second. So you have to time tag those. Who bought it first?
There's so much slippage and imperfections in our measure of time. Every few years, the global community has to add a leap second to catch up. You just add a second to one day to keep everything aligned.
Yeah.
It's mind-boggling.
It's pretty wild.
Government is frequently grappling with time. It was the government that created the time zones about 100 years ago to help trains and transit systems keep uniform time and prevent mishaps on the tracks.
Here in Congress, they're even debating changing the time. A new proposal would make daylight saving time permanent and end the twice-a-year clock changing.
We'd like that extra hour. You got to remember, we're a rural state. Farmers love daylight savings and a lot of other things, too. Kids practicing baseball.
A similar proposal nearly passed into law in 2022. So Alabama's Tommy Tuberville is trying again though there's been opposition from those worried about the impact of especially late morning darkness.
You get a lot of calls about this.
Oh, yeah. It's the #1 issue. We're going to leave it daylight savings time.
Meanwhile, back in the federal lab in the mountains, they're still testing and measuring ways to better count those nanoseconds, trying to perfect all the time in the world.
Absolutely important moment. I know that we're going to be feeling that coming back in here tomorrow, Emily. What can we look forward to, though, with the weather for tomorrow coming an hour earlier than expected?
It's going to be sunny tomorrow, but Craig, I want to point out, for at least a week, I was thinking that daylight saving was overnight Sunday into Monday, and I was just not a happy camper. So I'm excited that it's at least over the weekend. So that's definitely a blessing there. But anyways, conditions in terms of weather looking great for the overnight hours. We're sitting in the 60s still, right around 64 right now in Augusta, and that's what it really looks like across the CSRA. Those middle 60s, a little bit cooler as you go a little bit more inland, north and west, over in the city of Washington, sitting in those upper 50s, right around 58. Crawfordville also sitting in those upper 50s, but here in Augusta, 64, and again, places south like Sylvania sitting at 68, so a little bit of a temperature difference there. Good news is not seeing any rainfall, and we are not expecting any rainfall for really a decent while, for the next at least 5 days or so. But let's take a look at what we saw this afternoon, or really this morning, lasting a couple of stray showers into the afternoon. Some spots really only seeing about half an inch, maybe a little bit more than half an inch. And then if you go down to Screven, Jenkins, maybe Washington County, they were seeing 2.5 inches. So drastic difference in those rainfall totals across the CSRA this evening, or this morning, excuse me. But again, just kind of checking in over the past 24 hours or so. But good news is rainfall's out of here. The cloud cover is about to go along with it, and we can expect to see sunny sky conditions for our Sunday. So we'll warm up into those middle 60s, but again, plenty of sunshine. A little bit windy out there. We'll get to that in just a second. But as we start off our Monday, take a look at those temperatures. We will be in the 30s, so do not get too comfortable with these outdoor temperatures being in those 70s. Again, we're still going to see those 30s come Monday morning. We'll warm up Monday into those middle 60s by the afternoon. Plenty of sunshine for our Monday, and then into Tuesday morning, we can expect to see those temperatures drop off into those 30s again. But something else I want to point out, those wind speeds. Now, this is future wind gusts, so again, not sustained wind speeds, but we'll see those peak gusts anywhere from 15 to 20, maybe even 25 miles per hour throughout the afternoon tomorrow. So it's going to be a pretty breezy day, a little bit on the cooler side, but the good news is by the time Monday rolls around, those temperatures and those wind speeds are really starting to calm down for us. Let's take a look at the 7-day, though. By the time we get into the middle of the week, we'll be in those middle 70s. By Thursday, 77. Rain chances do come into play, though, Friday into Saturday. Craig, I'm tired of it raining on the weekends. Not a fan, but we might have another week of it.
I'm just loving these awesome high temps coming up here into spring full bloom. Thanks for that, Emily. Now, as we head to break, here's a live look at the ATL and your winning lotto numbers.
Have that chicken from Popeyes.
First Alert Radar, powered by Jim Hudson Automotive Group.
We're about to hear the moment two people were identified and later arrested after taking police on a high-speed chase near Detroit, Michigan.
The white male has a black shirt on, blue jeans, white shoes. Female has a tan jacket on. Yeah, they're at the McDonald's.
Now, that audio was from a Michigan State Police helicopter that helped track the vehicle, not seen, but traveling 130 miles per hour. The vehicle at one point was driving against traffic on the highway. Both people were arrested after the fact here, and officials have not said what started that chase that led to that arrest. Now, hundreds of goats were on the move in Chula Vista, California. They even briefly held up traffic. Brian White explains.
The rush is on. These little ones have somewhere to be.
They're moving toward greener pastures and have important work to do. This herd of 220 brush-clearing goats are used to create fire breaks around SDG&E's electric infrastructure. They clear 400 to 600 acres of vegetation a year.
I tell you what, it's probably like their favorite salad, and you know, this is something that they really are great at.
Roland Franklin with SDG&E says these happy goats are specially equipped to do this job.
Really what's special about their digestive system is, you know, it kind of kills off the seeds when they eat them. So opposed to like traditional landscaping methods where we're mowing, that kind of just drops the seed.
Hilltop Drive became a goat crossing with the help of Chula Vista Police as the herd moved toward their new grazing area.
They heard the idea of goats crossing the field, crossing the road, and they're like, Mommy, let's get out there and see what they do.
SDG&E employee Allison Torres is also a mother. She brought her 2 children to see this.
You know, just giving them exposure to all different areas. You know, they learn so much in school, but to be able to get out here, get your feet dirty, your hands dirty, roll up your sleeve, and just have a good time with some goats this morning is really going to be a fond memory of theirs.
A couple of new arrivals here over the past few days. These baby goats are a crowd favorite.
The community really, really loves coming out and learning about these goats and how they make an impact in the community, reducing the risk to wildfires, and kind of seeing some cute goats. So it's a positive thing.
In Chula Vista, Brian White, CBS 8.
Well, we saw a little bit less of an inch of rainfall for Augusta and Aiken today, but we're not going to see any rain for the next 5 or 6 days. But I'll have a final check on your forecast, tell you when the next chance of rain coming up.
Whoa.
Gastroenterologist about Wrdw and learn how AbbVie could help you save.
Alrighty, one more story before we go. Today is National Barbie Day. On March 9 in 1959, the doll debuted at the American International Toy Fair in New York, created by Ruth Handler and named after her daughter Barbara. Barbie was the first doll with adult features. Handler wanted the toy to let girls dream big. Over the years, Barbie has held so many jobs, including an astronaut, surgeon, pilot, nurse, reporter, even a presidential candidate. And going back to the astronaut job, she traveled to space with that outfit in 1965, 4 years for the actual moon landing. And how appropriate before the Oscars. Lots of predictions. We'll be filling out our sheets. But Emily, what's the predictions looking like for the rest of our weekend?
Ooh, I like it. That was good.
There you
Good
go,
job. Yeah, things are looking really good, especially for the end of our weekend. 65. It is going to be a little breezy out there tomorrow, so definitely be aware of that. But we'll be cruising in the 70s by Tuesday. Next chance of rain will come by Friday.